In today's episode, we dive into a shocking tale of betrayal and concealed identities. A wife's hidden trans identity is revealed when her secret affair with her stepson is discovered, leading to a tragic murder. Join us as we examine the disturbing details of this case, where deception, family betrayal, and violence come together in a tragic outcome. Milton Haverford was a well-known figure in Cedar Rapids, recognized for his charm and strong work ethic. At 42, he managed the local Ace Hardware, earning a solid reputation as a leader. However, life hadn't been easy for Milton. His first wife, Millie, died after a long struggle with breast cancer, leaving him a widower just 3 years before his own tragic end. Milton's commitment to Millie was evident to everyone who knew him. Throughout her illness, Milton was there for every doctor's appointment, hospital visit, and chemotherapy session. As her health declined, he became her primary caregiver, balancing long hours at Ace Hardware while ensuring he was always by her side. He drained his savings and took out loans to pay for her medical expenses, putting himself in significant debt. Friends from the local church often remarked on the heavy burden Millie's illness placed on Milton, both emotionally and financially, but he never voiced a complaint. Following Millie's death, he was engulfed in profound grief. He became more withdrawn, concentrating on his work and attempting to manage his debts. It wasn't until he met Tara that he started to open up again. Tara, 37, was a former military officer who had served in Afghanistan. They met at a local veterans community event in early 2012. Milton was drawn to her strength and determination, and the two quickly formed a bond. By summer, their relationship had evolved into a whirlwind romance, surprising those who knew Milton for his typically cautious demeanor. Just a few months after they met, Milton and Tara got married. Their wedding, held at a small local church, was an intimate gathering of close family and friends. While some felt it was too hasty, Milton appeared genuinely happy for the first time since Millie's passing. However, Milton's son Brad was not as supportive of his father's new marriage. At 23, Brad had idolized his mother and found it difficult to accept Tara as part of their family. He worked with Milton at Ace Hardware, stocking shelves, but their relationship had grown tense over the years. Brad felt neglected and frequently expressed frustration about not being promoted to manager, despite his efforts. The speed of Milton's marriage to Tara only widened the divide between them. Although Milton tried to manage his responsibilities at work and home, the tension with Brad was impossible to ignore. The family was grappling with the challenge of finding a new normal after years of heartache. Tragically, this journey would culminate in a shocking death. On August 21, 2012, a horrifying accident occurred at the Cedar Rapids Municipal Water Park. It was a sunny afternoon, and the park was bustling with families making the most of the last days of summer before school began. Milton Haverford, 42, chose to spend the day relaxing at the park, a favorite spot for locals. One of its main attractions was the Thunder Plunge, a towering water slide known for its exhilarating, high-speed experience. The slide, one of the tallest and fastest in the region, frequently attracted long lines. Milton, a thrill-seeker, was excited for the ride. But as he approached the bottom of the slide, tragedy struck. It was a gruesome and shocking scene. The first person to notice Milton's body floating in the pool was 19-year-old lifeguard Sarah Gibbons. Initially, she thought it might be a freak accident or a mechanical failure of some sort. She blew her whistle and quickly called for help. However, it wasn't until the staff and paramedics arrived that the horrific truth became clear. The park was evacuated within minutes as authorities began their investigation into the incident. Park-goers who witnessed the event were shaken, struggling to understand how a fun day at the water park had transformed into a scene of horror. When police arrived at the Cedar Rapids Water Park on the afternoon of August 21, 2012, they initially assumed Milton Haverford's decapitation was a tragic accident. The park staff believed that a mechanical failure on the Thunder Plunge had somehow led to the deadly incident. Paramedics were already on the scene, having evacuated the park and secured the area around the slide. As Milton's lifeless body lay in the pool, officers sought to understand how a fun day at the park had turned into such a tragedy. Park employees, including maintenance staff, were interviewed right away. No previous incidents had been reported on the Thunder Plunge, and it underwent regular safety inspections. Investigators initially considered the possibility of a faulty component, but the scene soon prompted further scrutiny. As they examined the slide's exit more closely, they noticed something unusual. The slide itself appeared clear, but investigators found a thin, nearly invisible wire deliberately set up at the bottom. Sharp enough to cut through flesh, it was positioned precisely where Milton's head would have been as he reached the end of the ride. This discovery shifted the investigation from a tragic accident to a criminal case. Detectives theorized that someone had intentionally attached the wire to ensure it would slice through the victim's neck, making it seem like the decapitation resulted from the slide's speed. The wire's thinness and transparency explained why no one had noticed it earlier, especially amid the chaos following the accident. Cedar Rapids police began to search the area for additional evidence. They examined the slide's structure for signs of tampering or any tools left behind. Meanwhile, crime scene technicians took detailed photos and measurements of the wire and its surroundings. Investigators also collected security footage from the park, hoping to uncover clues about when and how the wire was installed, and, most importantly, who was responsible. What initially appeared to be a freak accident was now being investigated as premeditated murder. Detectives were tasked with identifying who might have the motive and opportunity to commit such a calculated and gruesome act. Tara Haverford, born Derek, had spent much of her life concealing her true identity. From a young age, Tara knew she was uncomfortable in her own skin, but growing up in a small, conservative town made it hard to express those feelings. Instead, she followed the expected path, joining the military, serving in Afghanistan, and upholding a stoic, disciplined image. Tara kept her transgender identity a closely guarded secret throughout her military service, successfully avoiding detection during physicals and psychological evaluations. By the time she returned home on leave in 2011, she had fully transitioned, yet no one in her life, including her husband, Milton, knew the truth. Tara married Milton Haverford shortly after returning from Afghanistan. Milton, a widower mourning his first wife's death, was drawn to Tara's strength and resilience. They quickly married, and she became a stepmother to his adult son, Brad. Throughout their relationship, Tara was careful to keep her past concealed. Tara was determined to keep her transgender identity a secret, especially within the conservative circles she and Milton socialized in. When detectives questioned her about her husband's horrific death, she appeared calm, almost detached. She expressed shock over the incident and claimed to have no idea how something like this could happen. As the interrogation continued, Tara directed police to an unexpected lead, her half-sister, Tiffany Hughes. Tara told investigators that she suspected Milton might have been having an affair with Tiffany. At 39, Tiffany had a reputation for troubled behavior and causing problems within the family. Tiffany had a history of drug abuse and had spent time in jail for dealing. Tara suspected that Milton's relationship with Tiffany had crossed boundaries, suggesting that Tiffany's unstable personality could have contributed to his death. This revelation piqued the detective's interest. Tara's accusation hinted at a potential motive for Tiffany, especially considering her chaotic lifestyle. However, police began to shift their focus toward Tara herself. Her calm demeanor during questioning was notable, as was her rapid transition to blaming someone else. Investigators began to suspect that Tara was hiding more than just her feelings about Milton's possible infidelity. As the investigation progressed, her hidden past and secret identity emerged as significant factors, though it remained unclear how closely they were tied to the crime. What was evident was that Tara's carefully constructed life was beginning to unravel. Tiffany Hughes had a reputation in Cedar Rapids that many tried to ignore. Known for her wild behavior and troubled past, she was no stranger to local law enforcement. Police had often encountered her in compromising situations, particularly outside the community college. She had an extensive arrest record for drug dealing, frequently selling substances to young people in the area. Despite these red flags, Tiffany often escaped serious consequences, serving only short stints in jail without facing lengthy sentences. Her chaotic lifestyle had distanced her from her family, yet she still managed to maintain a twisted connection with her brother-in-law, Milton Haverford. Tiffany had been secretly extorting Milton for years. She had learned about Tara's transgender identity before Milton did, and used this knowledge as leverage to manipulate him. Tiffany's relationship with Milton extended far beyond mere financial blackmail. Tiffany's gradual exposure of Tara's identity only heightened Milton's stress and confusion. He found himself trying to protect his marriage while being drawn into a toxic relationship with his unstable sister-in-law. When police brought Tiffany in for questioning, she displayed no remorse. Her behavior was erratic, reminiscent of previous encounters police had had with her. Tiffany made it clear that she felt constantly judged by others, particularly by Tara, for the choices she had made in life. She harbored resentment toward Tara's seemingly perfect image as a strong, disciplined military veteran. In Tiffany's eyes, Tara embodied everything she wasn't: respected, composed, and admired in the community. Over the years, Tiffany's anger and bitterness deepened, and her relationship with Milton became another avenue to lash out at Tara. As police investigated further into Tiffany's life, her motives revealed themselves to be more complex. While her resentment toward Tara was evident, investigators weren't convinced that Tiffany was responsible for Milton's murder. Her chaotic and unpredictable behavior made her a suspect, but the careful planning of the crime didn't align with her usual impulsive, reckless nature. Still, Tiffany remained a focus for police as they continued to piece together the disturbing puzzle of Milton's death. As the investigation into Milton Haverford's gruesome death unfolded, police uncovered a troubling new layer to the case. In the digital trail of text messages, emails, and photos, a darker secret emerged. Tara Haverford, Milton's wife, was engaged in a secret affair with Milton's son, Brad Haverford. Brad, 23, had always struggled with his relationship with his father. Despite working at Milton's Ace hardware store and wanting to follow in his father's footsteps, he often felt overshadowed and unappreciated. Milton's refusal to promote him to a managerial position deepened the rift between them. That frustration, combined with the stress of Brad's own young marriage, drew him closer to Tara. What began as innocent conversations about life and shared frustrations quickly evolved into something much more intimate. Tara, 37, had just returned from her time in Afghanistan when the affair started. Police uncovered evidence of the affair while examining Tara's phone. Text messages between her and Brad revealed flirtations and plans to meet. Photos confirmed that their relationship was not just emotional but also physical. Investigators were taken aback by this revelation, recognizing that Milton's home life was far more complex and troubled than they initially believed. This discovery shifted the investigation's direction, as the secret relationship between Tara and Brad introduced a new motive rooted in desperation, guilt, and fear of exposure. The tangled web of family secrets became a crucial factor in solving Milton's murder. Brad Haverford, 23, had always idolized his father, admiring his work ethic, dedication, and success in running the Ace hardware store in Cedar Rapids. As a teenager, Brad spent weekends helping out in the store, sweeping floors, stocking shelves, and learning the business. However, as he grew older, that admiration transformed into frustration. Despite his years of hard work, Milton consistently refused to promote Brad to a managerial role. Brad had anticipated moving up in the family business, but Milton appeared reluctant to grant him any real responsibility. This growing tension led to a rift between father and son. Brad felt undervalued, stuck in his role of stocking shelves while witnessing others around him receive promotions. Adding to his frustration, Brad's personal life was also in turmoil. Married and with a baby on the way, the pressures of domestic life weighed heavily on him. He felt trapped in both his home and work environments. During this time of frustration, Brad found himself increasingly drawn to Tara as a stepmother. What began as casual conversations quickly developed into something deeper. Tara, grappling with her own secrets and emotional burdens, offered Brad an escape from his everyday troubles. Their relationship became a secret affair, with both hiding their illicit interactions from Milton and Brad's wife. The affair remained concealed until police uncovered it during their investigation into Milton's death. While examining Tara's phone, they discovered a series of text messages that revealed the extent of their relationship. Flirtatious exchanges and plans for secret meetings were laid bare, along with photos that left no doubt about the nature of their relationship. When confronted by police, Brad confessed to the affair. He admitted feeling trapped in his marriage and increasingly dissatisfied with his life. He viewed Tara as a means of escape, someone who understood him and provided comfort during a difficult time. The revelation of the affair added a new dimension to the case, highlighting the complexity of the relationships within the Haverford family and suggesting a potential motive for the crime. As the investigation into Milton Haverford's gruesome death progressed, police began to concentrate their efforts on his wife, Tara Haverford. What initially seemed like a tragic accident was beginning to look far more sinister. Evidence suggested deliberate sabotage, leading investigators to piece together a disturbing narrative in which Tara, drawing on her military background, orchestrated her husband's death in one of the most horrifying ways imaginable. Having served multiple tours in Afghanistan, Tara had gained valuable experience in engineering and logistics. Her extensive knowledge of explosives, mechanical systems, and sabotage tactics raised alarm bells for investigators. As police delved deeper into the circumstances surrounding Milton's death on the Cedar Rapids waterslide, they recognized that only someone with expertise in covert sabotage could have executed such a plan. This was clearly not a random malfunction. It was a calculated murder. Investigators found that a thin, sharp wire had been strategically placed at the bottom of the waterslide, just before the exit. Nearly invisible, it was positioned at the perfect height to decapitate Milton as he slid down at high speed. Forensics confirmed that the wire had been meticulously installed, requiring both precision and timing. Tara's military expertise in setting traps in unpredictable environments became the crucial piece of the puzzle. She understood exactly how to position the wire so that it would go undetected until it was too late. But Tara, once a decorated military veteran, had no intention of facing the consequences of her actions. As police began to close in on her involvement in Milton's death, she decided to flee. Her plan was straightforward: escape to Canada, where she believed she could disappear and start anew. Knowing that authorities were gathering evidence against her, Tara packed a few essentials, withdrew as much cash as possible, and hit the road in the early hours of a late August morning in 2012. The Cedar Rapids police were just one step behind. Once they discovered she had vanished, they issued an all-points bulletin. Authorities across Iowa, Minnesota, and even Canadian Border Patrol were alerted to watch for Tara's vehicle, a silver Toyota Highlander. The race was on to intercept her before she could reach the border. By the time law enforcement spotted her, Tara had already made it deep into Minnesota, speeding along Interstate 35. Local police and state troopers quickly mobilized, forming a coordinated effort to stop her. A high-speed chase ensued, stretching for miles along the highway. Tara, determined and desperate, pushed her vehicle to its limits, weaving through traffic and showing no signs of slowing down. The pursuit intensified as police vehicles closed in on her. Near Owatonna, Minnesota, authorities set up spike strips in a last-ditch effort to end the chase. Tara's vehicle struck the spikes, causing her tires to blow out and forcing her to a halt. She lost control, veering off the road and coming to a stop in a ditch. The police surrounded her car, guns drawn, prepared for any resistance. However, realizing she had no other option, Tara finally surrendered. She was taken into custody, visibly shaken yet stoic, aware that her flight had abruptly ended. For the officers who had been tracking her, relief was palpable. Tara's escape had nearly succeeded, but ultimately, justice caught up with her. Back in Cedar Rapids, Milton's family, particularly his son Brad, reacted with a mix of disbelief and sorrow as the arrest made headlines. Their family's darkest secrets were now exposed for the world to see. The trial of Tara Haverford took place in May 2014 and quickly became a high-profile case among true crime enthusiasts online. The prosecution was led by Assistant District Attorney Leonard Pratt, known for his aggressive courtroom style. Pratt sought to portray Tara as a manipulative woman willing to do anything to protect her secrets. Throughout the trial, he argued that her actions were driven by fear and desperation, rooted in her complicated life and relationships. In stark contrast, the defense was led by veteran attorney Susan Mendel, who adopted a calm and methodical approach. Mendel highlighted Tara's background, emphasizing the trauma she endured during her military service. She argued that the psychological strain of concealing her identity as a transgender woman, combined with the emotional toll of her turbulent marriage, had significantly affected Tara's state of mind. Mendel aimed to appeal to the jury's sense of empathy, hoping they would grasp the struggles Tara faced in her personal life. During the trial, Tara claimed that Milton had brutally abused her, insisting that she had only acted in self-defense. She portrayed him as a man with a violent temper, alleging that he would often erupt in anger. Tara suggested that she felt trapped in a life filled with fear and had no choice but to protect herself. However, the evidence presented by the prosecution contradicted her claims. Friends and family testified about Milton's caring nature, describing him as a devoted husband known for his kindness. After 3 weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury reached a verdict, finding Tara guilty of first-degree murder. The decision elicited a mix of emotions for Milton's family, especially for his son Brad, who grappled with the complexity of their shared history and the impact of the trial. While they felt justice had been served, it came at a heavy cost. The trial exposed the dark secrets of their family, and the loss of Milton weighed heavily on them. Tara was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, leaving the Haverford family to confront the aftermath of their tragedy. The case left a lasting impact on the community, sparking discussions about domestic violence, mental health, and the challenges faced by transgender individuals. Despite the trial's outcome, the scars from Milton's tragic death would linger for years. After Tara Haverford's trial concluded, the lives of those involved took dramatic and tragic turns, each grappling with the aftermath in their own way. Tara, now serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole, faced the consequences of her actions in a correctional facility known for its strict rules and security. In prison, she struggled to adapt to her new environment, dealing with the challenges of incarceration and the emotional weight of her past. The reality of her situation weighed heavily on Tara, prompting her to reflect on the choices that had led her to this point. Her story became a cautionary tale about the complexities of identity, relationships, and the consequences of hidden secrets. Meanwhile, Tiffany, Tara's half-sister, faced her own tumultuous life, grappling with the fallout of the family's dark history and her troubled past. Known for her erratic behavior and legal troubles, Tiffany became embroiled in a series of risky encounters. Tragically, in late 2014, after a brief and impulsive sexual encounter at a Burger King restroom, Tiffany was murdered. The shocking details of her death sent ripples through the community, highlighting the dark legacy of the Haverford family. She was discovered in a nearby alley, and it was later determined that she had been attacked by a stranger. Her death was ruled a homicide, leaving many questions unanswered. This tragedy underscored the dangers faced by individuals living on the fringes of society and brought attention to pressing issues of safety and violence in the community. Brad Haverford, profoundly impacted by the events surrounding his father's death and the subsequent revelations about his family, sought a new direction in life. Struggling with guilt and remorse, he decided to enlist in the military as a way to atone for his family's actions. In May 2015, Brad joined the Army, hoping to find purpose and discipline amid the turmoil. Brad Haverford was determined to serve his country and escape the painful memories tied to his past. Joining the military offered him the structure and sense of belonging he desperately needed. As he trained and served, Brad gradually found some peace. Although he could never fully escape the shadow of his father's tragic death, he focused on forging a new identity, hoping to honor Milton's memory by leading a life of integrity and responsibility. Through his service, Brad aimed to redefine himself, moving beyond the chaos that had once defined his family. The impact of these events resonated throughout the Cedar Rapids community for years, highlighting the complexities of human relationships and the far-reaching consequences of violence. The case served as a stark reminder of how dark secrets, long hidden, can unravel even the most seemingly stable families. Discussions around domestic violence, mental health, and the challenges faced by marginalized individuals became more prevalent, emphasizing the need for open dialogue and understanding. Ultimately, the tragic tale of Milton Haverford and his family underscored the importance of confronting and addressing underlying issues before they spiral into irreversible consequences.